Welcome back into the neutral zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Lots to get to tonight in the hockey world as we have got 10 games in action tonight across the NHL to keep track of, plus all kinds of news and stories. Some fun, some serious, some off-the-ice troubling issues to be keeping up with. Lots to be getting into tonight. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving for those of you listening here in the States as we're all recovering from American Thanksgiving, the wonderful time where it's we eat until we can't anymore. But lots that we'll be getting into tonight. Stories. Patrick Kane has himself a new home. We will discuss that. His former home is once again having some off-ice issues that have to be resolved. We'll see what all is entailed in that. We've got another coach that's already out of a job. Wow. Lots to be getting through, plus more right here in the neutral zone. Do not go anywhere, everybody. Buckle on up. Light the lamp. Let's go. And once again, hello and good evening, everyone. I am Adam Karnick here with you in the neutral zone. Zach Puplis has got the night off tonight, so we'll just be a solo show here tonight, but we'll still try to keep it fun, entertaining, have a good time as we always do here on this show. Lots to be getting into tonight. Been a couple of weeks since we've been here, so lots to be getting through, lots to talk about, lots to catch up on and discuss. So without any further ado, of course, let's start off, as we always do, doing our homework here, acknowledging our sponsor at IE Sports Radio. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky you can get your hands on. All you have to do is visit planetjerky.net. They are offering free shipping on all orders of $50 or more. They've got tons of varieties ranging from the very mild, tangy, smoke and barbecue style up to the sweet pepper teriyaki, a little bit more heat behind that. I preferred the volcanic jalapeno, or all the way up to the Carolina Reaper. Packaging is out of this world, includes an astronaut, and then my favorite part, little bits of facts and trivia about NASA and outer space on the packaging too, so you can learn a little bit while you enjoy your treat. That's planetjerky.net for Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. IE Sports Radio for the last 9.5 years, closing in on a decade now. IE Sports Radio has brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and also with our shows. You can also check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com, for sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, our Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each of our shows, our IE Sports Radio community forum, and stop by the shop and check out the merchandise. Thank you all for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And you heard there how to follow along with the station, but you can also follow along with this show directly here. The Neutral Zone is available for you on X at IESR Neutral Zone. You can also follow along with me personally on X. I am at Adam_Karnik. So let's dive into everything. We've got 10 games scheduled for tonight across the NHL. Of those 10, we've got 8 are in progress right now in various states of progress, and then we've got 2 more yet tonight. So as we typically do here on the show, let's start by just doing a quick rundown across the NHL landscape. Starting in Chicago, the Blackhawks are hosting the Seattle Kraken. With 3.5 minutes left to go in the first period, Chicago is up 2-1. The Kraken just went on their second power play of the game of the period, so they have an opportunity perhaps here to tie it. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, they have started the third period between the Islanders and the Devils. The Islanders currently up 4-3 in that one. It's been a back and forth game there with that one. Jack Hughes, the most recent goal scorer in that one, but it's been back and forth throughout in that one where they were tied at 1. The Devils took the lead at 2-1, only to see the Islanders tie it at 2 and eventually get up to 3-2. And get up to 4-2, and then the Devils, Jack Hughes made it 4-3. So we are down to a goal, just a 1-goal deficit there. With 13.5 minutes left to go in the third, in Toronto, the Panthers and the Maple Leafs are tied at 1. Florida took the 1-0 lead, only to see Tampa Bay tie it in that one. And with 2.5 minutes left in the second period in Philadelphia, we just had Philly Sports with Cash and Chris close up. They had their world-famous Flyers minute. Well, the Flyers find themselves down to Carolina 2-1 late in the second period there. Philadelphia has yet to lead in the game. Carolina was up 1-0 and then 2-1 where it is now. Just started the second period in Minnesota. We'll be talking about them a little bit later on. The Minnesota Wild find themselves up 2-1 against the St. Louis Blues. Minnesota has yet to trail in that game. They were up 1-0 and now 2-1. Gaudreau got his first goal of the season to put Minnesota up in that one. Just about the middle of the second period in Nashville, the Predators lead the Penguins 2-0 there. McCarron, both of the goals in this one so far for Nashville. Just started the second period up in Winnipeg. The Stars and the Jets are scoreless, and just underway in Arizona, the Lightning and the Coyotes are scoreless, and they are about to drop the puck here in about 5 minutes or so in Edmonton between the Golden Knights and the Oilers. And then later on to the one other game scheduled for tonight out in Vancouver, the red-hot Anaheim Ducks are in town to take on the Vancouver Canucks, two of the more surprising teams in the NHL right now. So that gets us caught up on the scores as we're sitting here right now, but we'll get more into that later. And good evening to Jen B., saying, hope you have a great show. Thank you, Jen. We're going to try tonight, get my hockey legs back under me a little bit after paying attention to so much football the last few days while my in-laws were in town. Want to start tonight. Couple different ways to start tonight. I've decided to start with the fun stuff first. We'll get into some of the heavier stuff later. The fun news of the day, for me at least, Patrick Kane, the 35-year-old phenom, Showtime, has finally settled on where he will play this season. You may remember he had off-season hip surgery that forced him. You knew he was going to miss at least the first month of the regular season. It's basically been the first 2 months of the season that he has missed. He signed today a 1-year, just under $3 million deal, $2.75 million contract with the Detroit Red Wings. I know my co-host Zach Puplis will be excited about that when he comes back next week to rub that in my face a little bit. Kane will be reunited with Alex DeBrincat there in Detroit. That was the obvious connection there for Kane and the Red Wings. One of the other requirements was that Kane wanted to go somewhere where he felt he could compete this season. And as we're sitting here almost to the end of November, just about a quarter of the way through the year, Detroit is very much in the playoff picture, 11-6-3 at this point. A 3-game winning streak as we sit here tonight, 25 points in 20 games. They're certainly going to be in contention this year. As a Blackhawks guy, I'm conflicted. Patrick Kane, as I've talked on the show before, Patrick Kane is a huge part of the reason why I got into hockey in the first place. He's been my favorite player to watch as I've kind of reacquired hockey in college and then onward and been enjoying it now for the last 15 odd years or so. The first 2 Blackhawk games that I went to were both against Detroit. One in Chicago, and then I went to one in Detroit actually with some friends, some very good friends of mine. We went to go see Hawks Wings in 2013. So the first 2 times I got to see Patrick Kane, it was against the Red Wings. It's gonna be very odd and strange to watch Patrick Kane now wear the red and white with the winged wheel on his chest. That's gonna be very strange to see, but it makes all the sense in the world from a hockey standpoint. You're getting a contender. You're getting a young team that needs that veteran presence and, frankly, leadership that Kane can offer. And Kane does provide that now as a mature 35-year-old. We'll see when he actually takes the ice. Red Wings coach Derek Lalonde said today there's still some hurdles to go. Quote, even if it does happen, I think there's going to be some time here, a level of patience, certainly from us as a coaching staff going forward. So we'll see, because typically, the hip surgery, he had it June 1st. It's not uncommon that you have a 4 to 6 month recovery time before you can really start diving in and doing hockey stuff. He's only about 5, he's only 5.5 months through that, almost 6 months. So we're still inside that window where it could be he's probably not all the way there yet. For reference, Washington Capitals center Nicholas Backstrom had the exact same procedure in June of 2022. He finally returned on January 8th of this year. So he missed basically the entire front half of the 22-23 season. So it could be a little bit before Kane is 100%, but we have seen throughout his career that Patrick Kane is a guy that recovers quickly and can even be at not full speed, can still be a very, very deadly player and a very strong player and somebody that can give you a lot. The Red Wings, they next play tomorrow night, and perfect timing on this too for Kane. Remember, he was traded to the Rangers last season. The Red Wings play tomorrow night at New York to take on the Rangers, and then they turn around, and on Thursday they host the Blackhawks. So Kane, if he were to jump in right away, he'd be facing both of his former teams in the span of 2 days. So obviously some incentive there for Kane to come in and play as quickly as he can. For the Red Wings, too, the timing is very good, as they're going to be down a man each of these next 2 days against both the Rangers and the Blackhawks. Center Dylan Larkin, who has got 21 points in 20 games this season and has been playing very, very well for the Red Wings. He's got points in each of his last 3 games, including goals in each of the last 3 games this season. He's going to miss at least the next 2 games for Detroit. Again, Coach Lalonde, obviously Larkin is probably in that day-to-day scenario, and with him not traveling with us, that would make him unlikely for Thursday against the Blackhawks as well. I think we'd hope and expect him back for Montreal on Saturday. No IR, but you guys have seen him. He's missed some practices. There's some stuff going on. So the timing is also perfect there for Kane to come to Detroit and help out there, as Dylan Larkin is going to be out for the next couple of games at least for the Winged Wheels. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we've got to dive into some heavier news concerning one of Kane's former teams. The Chicago Blackhawks released a veteran player this afternoon, and it was for, well, we don't know specifically why reasons. We will dive into that next. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff for my people on the 913 South. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio. your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pulp culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Welcome back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick flying solo here tonight. Zach Puplis has the night off. So we talked about Patrick Kane signing with the Detroit Red Wings in the first segment. Now I want to talk about one of Kane's former teams, the up until just a few months ago, the only NHL team for which Kane had ever played, that being the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks were in the news today for just more off-ice problems. Corey Perry had been brought in to the organization this offseason in an effort to bring some veteran presence to a roster that otherwise was, very young. Just, not trying to, the Blackhawks, of course, were not necessarily looking to make any runs this season. You knew it was going to be a long season for them, but bringing in somebody like Perry, first of all, it adds some star power to help bring some people into the seats, along with young rookie Connor Bedard, but it also then helps to shape Bedard a little bit on the ice. Perry, over 1,200 games played in his NHL career for the 38-year-old. And then, very strangely and suddenly last week, while the Blackhawks were in Columbus, Ohio, to take on Jen's Blue Jackets, word came across that Perry was a very late healthy scratch to the lineup, and that Perry would not be skating that evening. And Perry has not played with the team since. And then word came out that the Blackhawks were conducting an internal investigation, and immediately alarm bells start ringing, because this is, of course, the same franchise that had the horrible yes, Jen comments in the chat room. That was a fun game for her. Yes, Adam Fantilli had a fantastic game for the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets had a wonderful game, putting up a touchdown against the Blackhawks, and just meanwhile, for the Hawks, that was a bit of a rough one to get through on. A bit of a rough one to get through. It was a bit like that Bears-Vikings game last night. Similar in score, too. 7-3, the final. 7 is not a lot in football. In hockey, yeah, you don't see many touchdowns in the NHL. And 7-3 was being 7-3 was, being generous there at the end. It was 7-1 at one point. So yeah, a lot of fun for Columbus fans, not so much for the Blackhawks. Zach Rowinski with the franchise record 4 assists for the Blue Jackets in that one too. But then you had the story with Chicago of they're conducting an internal investigation into what's going on with Corey Perry, and immediately you get that horrible feeling that we just had a couple of years ago where we learned that there was a coach abusing players and that the team knew about it and buried it and let the coach escape, and all those horrible things start creeping back up. We can't call it closure on it today, but we did get the next step in the story here. Chicago Blackhawks general manager made the move this morning and then spoke at the media this afternoon to discuss what the Blackhawks were doing with Corey Perry. Officially, they placed Perry on unconditional waivers. They will buy out his contract, assuming that he clears waivers, which you would imagine he would. They will buy out his contract and terminate his employment with the team. The initial statement read as such. Quote, after an internal investigation, the Chicago Blackhawks have determined that Corey Perry has engaged in conduct that is unacceptable and in violation of both the terms of his standard players contract and the Blackhawks' internal policies intended to promote professional and safe work environments. As such, Corey Perry has been placed on unconditional waivers. In the event Mr. Perry clears waivers, we intend to terminate his contract effective immediately. Then Kyle Davidson spoke to media this afternoon. I want to read his opening statement in full here. Quote, first and foremost, I, Davidson, want to start off by reiterating that the organization is committed to a culture of accountability. Last week, management was notified of possible misconduct by Corey Perry. We pulled him from the game and conducted an internal investigation. Upon learning the findings of that investigation, we made the decision to terminate his contract. I will not be able to disclose any details. And if you listen to the 9-minute press conference, unfortunately the NHL doesn't use microphones for the press corps, so you can't hear any of the questions. All you can hear is Kyle Davidson's answers, and it was a lot of, I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to choose not to get into that. That's an internal matter that we're not going to discuss further, etc. ad nauseum for 9 minutes. And without hearing the questions, there's not a whole lot really to go there by listening to it. One thing, though, that Davidson did clear up, as there were some pretty ugly rumors that had started spreading all throughout social media. Davidson did say, I do want to be very clear, this does not involve any players or their families, and anything that suggests otherwise is wildly inaccurate, and frankly, it's disgusting. He later went on to emphasize that this was a workplace matter. He did not say if law enforcement was involved. Again, didn't really go into any details other than it did not involve players or their families. So whatever rumors you have seen, read, or heard from newsworthy sources or unnewsworthy sources, they're flat out not true. The team has not said. The beat reporters do not know. Davidson went on to say the team doesn't even, the players themselves do not know what it was that Corey Perry did. Simply that it violated the terms of his contract with the team. The players' union was notified. Nobody's raising a fuss or an issue on that end. It's nothing. There's not going to be any kind of a workman's comp issue or anything like that. But Corey Perry is no longer a Blackhawk. I get that the Blackhawks don't deserve anybody's benefit of the doubt, that when in doubt, you should be transparent in all things. At the same time, I also recognize and appreciate that sometimes you just can't get into the details. The details, that doesn't mean that the details should stay in the dark forever. It does mean that the details should come to light, but they should come to light in the proper way at the proper time. And that I realize that saying that, it sounds like I'm wanting to emphasize burying things. I don't believe in burying stories. It is always better for the story to be out there correctly and accurately so that you can put fake news, let's call it what it is, you can put those flames out. I believe the beat writers, guys like Charlie Realmutis or friend of the program, Ben Pope. I've had him on Chi-Town Weekly a couple of times to discuss the Blackhawks. Or Jay Zawoski from CHGO. I trust those guys when they say, we've heard the rumors are 100% false. I believe those guys. I don't fault anybody for still not trusting the Blackhawks. If they haven't earned your trust back, I understand that. I feel that with you. I was right there with you for a long time. But in this instance, they did the right thing. They found out, it was brought to their attention that, hey, this guy's doing something that he shouldn't be doing. Oh? Come here, Mr. Perry. Have a seat. It's come to our attention that you may have violated your contract, that you may have done some untoward things. We have to look into this. In the meantime, you're sitting right there. You're not playing in the meantime. You're not going to represent us in the meantime until we get this cleared up. If everything checks out, absolutely, we will bring you back. You'll play, and life will be good. But until then, you're going to sit right here. One of the things that Davidson did answer, he was asked about the timeline of things, and he said this happened about as quickly as you can while being respectful to both sides. And it took him about a week. But they were able to go through and evaluate and look into and be thorough. Corey Perry got his due process with the team. They didn't fire him until they were able to confirm the allegations. And then as soon as they confirmed the allegations, they got rid of him. That's what you want a team to do. I realize that we all now live in a day and age where social media makes everything accessible instantaneously 24/7, 365. And that the world, we want the news, whatever it is. We want the story in real time as it's happening. And that when we don't get it, we'll turn to whatever source is telling us whatever story it is that allows us to fill in the gaps. But be aware of who's giving you the story. And I'm just going to keep this in sports. I'll let you decide if you want to translate this into anything else in the world. Be aware of who's giving you the story. I dabbled in journalism briefly. I am by no means a journalist. good journalists take time to make sure the story is right before putting it out there. It's way better to put an accurate story out there than it is to put a fast story out there. As a consumer, be aware. That's all I ask of you is, as a consumer, keep that in mind. Journalists are deliberate with their sourcing and their storytelling. And they're demanding of their sources and their stories. Be just as demanding as consumers. Don't just go automatically to whoever's going to give you the information the fastest. Go to who's going to give it to you accurately and correctly. And just realize that that means you might have to wait a little longer. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox on that a little bit. When we are going to take one more break. When we come back, we already had one coach that was shown the door this season out in Edmonton. Then over the weekend we had another one be shown the door, this time out in Minnesota, the Minnesota Wild, who are playing tonight, and so far are having some decent results right now. They have themselves a new coach. We will dive into the new hiring in Minnesota before we get out of here. This is the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports, exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What up, Boston sports fans? This is Mikey Two Guns here, your host of Our Bleepin' City, airing every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please join me. We'll talk everything Boston sports, all the local teams, college teams. I'm even down to talk MMA, boxing, whatever you guys want. So join me every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Chime in with your questions on the chat, tweet the show. We'll even have call-ins. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So once again, it's Our Bleepin' City. I am your host, Mikey Two Guns, every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. See you soon, people.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio, the IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio. Adam Karnick with you here. One more segment, about 9 more minutes or so before we turn things over to Cale Henderson of Sin City Sports to talk all things Las Vegas. I am sure he will be much more excited to talk about the Las Vegas Golden Knights than he will be to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, even though the Knights are currently losing in Edmonton 1-0. We'll get to that here in just a minute. We talked obviously a lot of Chicago tonight between Patrick Kane and then the Corey Perry situation. Wanted to go north a little bit to the Minnesota Wild. The Wild, after making the playoffs each of the last 4 years, are having a brutal start to the season. They come in just 5-10-4, next to last place in the Central Division. only 14 points on the season, only 4 wins in regulation, tied for the fewest in the NHL with regulation wins. Yesterday, the Minnesota Wild fired their head coach, Dean Evason, and their assistant, Bob Woods, and they pegged former New Jersey Devil and Nashville Predator head coach John Hines to take over. Evason had done very well each of the last 4 years as he is head coach. He'd made the playoffs every year he had been with the team, but getting off to the brutal start to this season did him in. You factor in that the Wild are near the bottom of the league scoring-wise, but then also their goaltending has been just atrocious this season. Philip Gustafsson and Marc-Andre Fleury. Last year, that tandem had a save percentage of just under 92%. They're nowhere near that this year. Andre Fleury has a goals against average on the season of 3.46 and a save percentage of 87.5. And he's been the better of the two goalies. Gustafsson, a goals against average 3.94 and a save percentage of 88.1%. Yuck. Some other problems that the Wild have had at this point: their power play has been virtually non-existent, 24th in the NHL at just 16.2%. Meanwhile, their penalty killing unit is the worst in the league, giving up a goal 66.7% of the time. 2 out of 3 power plays that other teams have had, they've scored. Their star power on offense has struggled to this point of the season. Matt Boldy has just 1 goal to this point. Kirill Kaprizov has just 6 goals in 19 games for the Wild. They're just having a brutal start to the season, so they decided to make the move and go from Dean Evason to John Hines. We'll see how all of that plays out in the long run. So far tonight, in their first game under John Hines, we've seen it's at least working in the short term. In the second intermission, the Wild are leading St. Louis 2-1 at this point. Before we get out of here, we'll get you caught up. We have had a game go final. The New Jersey Devils came from behind in the third period and managed to win over the New York Islanders 5-4. 3 goals in the third period, all by New Jersey. Jack Hughes, Hischer, and then Lazar all had the goals. Lazar scored the game-winning goal with just 23 seconds left in regulation, so the New Jersey Devils get a big win here tonight at home against the Islanders. That allows them to play catch-up a little bit, trying to catch up to the Islanders for 5th in the Metro Division. Some other games. We don't have any other finals right now. 9 minutes left in the second. The Blackhawks are doubling up the Kraken 4-2. The Maple Leafs, it looks like, just beat Florida in a shootout 2-1. So we've got one that's about to go final there. Late in the third, the Carolina Hurricanes are still up 2-1 over Philadelphia. Just starting the third period in Nashville, the Predators are up 2-1 against the Penguins. Second intermission in Winnipeg, the Stars are up 1-0. Pavelski, the only goal there. First intermission out in Arizona. The Coyotes are beating the Lightning 1-0. And first intermission in Edmonton. The Oilers are up 1-0 over the Golden Knights. That's going to do it for our show here tonight. Big shout out and thank you, of course, to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Check them out, planetjerky.net. Free shipping on orders of $50 or more. Whether you like savory or flaming hot, there is a jerky in there for you. Thanks also to Larry B., Overlord here at IE Sports Radio. Thank you for all the hard work that you do, sir, behind the scenes, keeping us all organized and going. Thank you to Jen B. and Marcus Los Great for hanging out in the chat room with me tonight, keeping me company. I appreciate that. Jen was on earlier this afternoon talking about the show, talking all things Cleveland sports earlier tonight, and some Columbus Blue Jacket talk in there as well. Marcus Los Great is, of course, our combat sports host. I apologize, Marcus, that everything is leaving me at the drop of a hat here. Gloves off. I apologize, Marcus, the host of Gloves Off here on IE Sports Radio. Thank you to both of you for hanging out with me in the chat room tonight. Finally, thank you for coming and hanging out with me here tonight, whether this is your first time listening to Neutral Zone or your 50th time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. Next week, we will keep you updated on all the news and stats hanging around the NHL world. We'll also dive back into the college realms a little bit. I know that Zach Couples, my co-host, is excited about the new hire at his alma mater, Michigan State, their new hockey coach they have out there. So we'll get some collegiate news mixed in as well. Until then, I am Adam Karnick for the Neutral Zone. Until next week, be safe, be healthy, be sure to light the lamp, and always protect your firehole. We will see you next time.